driving down the road here at about 2 in the morning, and I come around the corner up here, and I was going 45 miles an hour, and just out of the corner of my eye I saw a flash, and then there's a boom. I never even had time to hit the brakes. A deer must have been spooked by my vehicle and just jutted out in front of it, and I hit that thing solid. There's a loud boom. I thought for sure my whole front end would be gone, but I lucked out a little bit. I'm driving up now. I'm going to see if the deer is laying there dead. Because I never even hit the brakes before I hit it. I went quite a ways past it, so I didn't look when I hit it. But I'm going to go back now and see if it's laying there dead. It almost has to be dead. It had a pretty big impact. But you never know about them things. They seem to live through anything. It's right here, coming around this corner here. Right around right here is where it crossed in front of me. There it is. Don't even know what it looks like. Don't even know if it was a buck or a doe. It happened so fast. Oh, it's a buck. Look at that. First buck of the season. How about that? A little early. Here's my front end. Smashed it in a little here. Good thing it's Ford tough. Took my license plate, pushed it in. There it is back there. A couple character marks. 2 years ago in Indiana, I hit one hit here, spun around in the ass end, crushed this in. So, who's gonna sponsor me for a new truck? I need a new truck. Last time I asked, one of my fans said he was gonna sponsor me, and he mailed me a Hot Wheels truck. I don't use trail cameras too often. I use them a little bit. I know a lot of people really depend on trail cameras. Last year, I had one cell cam out, and I had it on my own property in a spot where I was just monitoring what was coming in and out of my yard, basically. And I don't think I had one shooter on that camera, but it was fun to see what was coming in and out of the yard. But that's the low end of it. The high end of it is have a few out, you know, like 5 of them out doing a survey. I've done that too. For me, cameras are about learning. I know a deer's in an area, I want to get eyes on it. I might throw a couple cameras out there in spots where I think I'll get a glimpse of what kind of animals are in the area. Give me a perspective if I want to hunt them. But I'm not the kind of guy to go put a stand up, put a camera underneath it, and hunt that. I just want to learn time frames, and I want to get acquire targets. So this year, we decided to put out a couple cameras late. I got some cameras from Moultrie. That's the kind I use in my yard. I really like them because the one in my yard, I filled it up with lithium batteries. It holds a lot of them. So it cost me $70 to fill the thing up with batteries. It's almost as much as the camera cost. But those batteries lasted over a year, getting 25, 30 pictures a day in my yard. So, and you don't have to replace cards. I don't even have to go near the camera. There's no cards involved in them. So I like that camera. But this year we decided to put a couple cameras out, and mainly like one property, pretty much. We wanted to put cameras there because we wanted to monitor a certain area where my son saw a large buck cross the road 3 times in the last couple weeks. And he's seen it last fall when we were hunting there too, and it's always in the same spot. And where it crosses the road, there's really no trees except for one spot, one funnel of trees that's kind of an overlooked area. And he sees it at a time frame, usually going to work, where this deer is crossing the road going into the public at like 5 in the morning, which tells me this buck's going in there to bed. So he's near his bedding. So we wanted to throw a camera over to get a look at it because I really don't know how big this buck is, but it's not just my son. A couple other people told me about this buck, which makes me wonder if other people are seeing it. So I wanted to go in there, kind of look and see if I saw a hunter sign, see if I saw a sign of this buck, some big tracks maybe that he has been going through there, and maybe set up a camera or two in some spots right around there and just try to get a picture of him to make sure he really is what people are telling me, because I haven't seen him. I'm not putting the cameras right where I intend to hunt. I'm putting them in spots where I expect to catch the deer traveling. I know that a lot of these mature bucks avoid cameras. I've seen it over and over and over again. So you will get a picture of him or two, but he'll start avoiding that spot. But he ain't gonna avoid the area. So I'm not gonna put the cameras exactly where I hunt. So Eric and I are going out to drop a couple cameras, see what's going on in an area where I got a tip about a real big buck crossing the road from my son. Been seeing him a few different days on his way to work. So we're gonna drop a camera in there and see if we can figure out which buck this is and if it's worth going after. Figure out if he's in the area, and then hunt down some areas we know in here if he is. You know, last week we put up a video of scouting in Michigan. Mm-hmm. We were just talking about it. It's kind of funny because we get this a lot, but we were scouting alongside of a road on a public property that was near where we were doing the show, and a lot of people recognized the property, which we figured would happen. And we got all kinds of messages. We got messages from people that were hunting right where we were looking, and we were seeing, when we were in there, some really high rubs, which tells you what?
There are good bucks that use that area.
Right, obviously some mature bucks live there. Mm-hmm. And we got messages with pictures attached, with trail cam pictures of giant bucks that people took right in that area. And we got messages that said, you're barking up the wrong tree there. I've hunted that property for 10 years and there is no mature bucks there. They're nothing over 2 years old. Every now and then you get a 2-year-old. The sign don't lie. But it's kind of funny. I mean, some people say there's no deer on the property. Some say there's only 1 and 2-year-olds. Some people say it's a great property. There's mature bucks on there. You just got to work for them. Right. And some people say you got to go real deep and cross a river to get back to them. But we were definitely in them. I mean, we were on a rub line that was a rub line, which is probably used in daylight. Right. Because it's where the does are bedding and stuff. Where they're cruising through, they're looking for bedded does. Sign don't lie. The sign's there, the bucks are there. It's just a matter of hunting it correctly.
Right. I don't think they're bee sticks or anything, leaving all those rubs.
Right.
Yeah, they're in there.
I don't know. I'm kind of excited to get over here, though. We picked out a spot over in this corner where it looks like that buck that's been seen crossing the road would be going. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of interested to see the sign back there.
Yeah.
It's a little late in the year to be jumping back there, but hey, we got nothing to lose. We, buck crossed the road. We weren't planning on coming over here.
Right, exactly. I mean, I haven't been that far back. I'm not sure if you have, but if we weren't planning to hunt it anyway, we can't be doing any more damage than,
right. And what I'm seeing on the cameras, I don't know about you, but when I do use a camera, what I see is I put that camera out, I might get a picture or two right away. But about 30 days later, you start picking up the pictures. It's like the deer just disappear for 30 days. So it's like your scent is intolerable for about 30 days. Mm-hmm. That's what I get out of it.
Yep, I would agree.
I mean, we put some cameras out about 40 days ago in some areas just to see if there was a buck in there. And what did we get? We got virtually not a buck, not a one, just a few does, until about that 30-day mark, and all of a sudden,
right,
all the cameras blowing up with bucks. Yep. As soon as they got used to our scent, so we figure about 30 days from now, this camera will blow up. So one interesting fact about me and cameras is I've dabbled with cameras here and there. I've never gone overboard and been the guy with 20 cameras out there. Not regular cameras, not cell cameras, nothing. I just move around too much and really don't depend on cameras. But, most years I got 1 or 2 out there learning something, because they are a tool for me to learn from. They're a tool for me to find something out, like what 2-week time frame does that deer go through this area, annually. It's a tool to tell me, is this really a rut bed? Or is it a late season bed? Or is it an early season bed? What is going on here and what time frame? It's, you know, one of those tools that tells you these repetitive things. You learn things from it. So I like cameras, but I've been using cameras for a long time since they came out, periodically, here and there. Not a lot. It's hard for me to take the time to put cameras out and monitor them, because that time is taken away from my scouting. It's taken away from my hunting. It's taken away from other things that are more important to me, to my success. So cameras aren't a huge deal. But with that said, all the cameras I've ran for decades and decades, I can only think of one deer that I killed because I got it on camera. And that wasn't even in my home state. That was in Iowa. I had a camera over a food plot, checked it. It was before cell cams, and I had the same buck on it 3 out of 4 days. I set up where the camera was and shot it. That's the only deer. I'm not dependent on cameras to kill the deer. Most of the real big bucks I found could have been found with a camera, because I found them shining, or I found them glassing, or I just ran into them in the woods, or I spotted them from a tree stand. What it is I got a glimpse of a deer, knew he was in an area, went after him and killed him. So cameras can do that for you. They certainly can. And they can be fun to use if you don't get obsessed with them. But there are getting to be way too many cameras in the woods. It's one thing if you got 3 or 4 out like I do. It's another thing if you got 20, 25, and your buddy's got 20, 25, and that guy's got 20, and this guy's got 15. Then pretty soon the woods are flooded with them. And that kind of sucks. Especially if you're putting them in hunting spots and not in travel areas. Because then they're really limiting the places you can hunt or where those deer would be. I don't use many cameras, and I don't put them in hunting spots. Right. I put them in spots to find out what's around. I want to get a picture. Like this buck, we were just talking, you know, I trust my son's judgment, but even my judgment. I see a buck cross a road, and it might look huge, especially in velvet, and then you really get a close-up look at it, and it's 120 inches.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell when you're driving 60 miles an hour down the road and it's dark. And so
I would like to get a picture of it, or my own sighting, and see tine lengths to know for sure, other than just a really big buck across the road in front of me 3 times in the same spot. I get asked quite often, when is the best time to scout? When is the best time to go out there and look for deer? And the answer is whenever you have time. Sure, you really want to have your shirt buttoned, every button, your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and have that all done in the springtime, in the wintertime, have all those beds scouted. And I'm certainly working hard to get that done. But there is a never-ending list of places to look, things to check out, things to get done. So my scouting is nonstop. I just realize I'm doing more damage at this time of the year than I was in spring. So my scouting at this time of the year is spots that, well, I wouldn't hunt them, or I would hunt them blind and ruin them if I went in during season because of how the layout is. If I go out there now and look around and figure out a setup and stay out for 30, 60 days or whatever, maybe not till rut or whatever, and I learn something. Even if I ruin it, I've learned something, I've scouted it. All scouting is good scouting. Anytime. I mean, I do not want to walk into an area I already know, where I have a setup for early season. I don't want to walk in there now and kick the deer out. But if I learn of an animal, I learn of a spot that has, you know, a big buck somewhere's in there, and I don't know it. I don't know exactly where to go. I got an idea where he is. I might slip in there and try to figure things out and do as little damage as possible. And as soon as I know what I need, slip back out. And then just let it calm down. I mean, people walk in places. Dogs wander through places. Coyotes go through places. Those deer get bumped every now and then. So you want it to be as little as possible, because every time you go into a bedding area or you go into an area where these deer are, you do damage. But we want to do as little as possible. But we still got to scout. We still got to get our knowledge. We still got to figure out what we need to know and put us at our top level for killing once the killing season starts. So we got a pretty good trail here coming along that we're going up, and where we were looking at on the map is right up in here where everything kind of comes together. You know, swamp over there, a little finger of woods going this way, farm crops that way, and everything kind of meeting up here, and that buck crossed through the farm crops into here over there. And this is really the only timber and the only edge area where there's good bedding, so I think that buck could be in here, especially figuring that he was coming in the morning. Now, you look at this trail, it's pretty beat, and there's rub lines along it, you know, and then you see trails coming off of it heading over into this area, which is in the direction we were looking at setting up. Here's another one going off that way. And you get these little openings like this where the sun's getting into this buckthorn, and that's just like a big food plot.
It's a candy shop.
Yeah. I mean, look at that tree there. What do you see on that buckthorn tree?
No leaves.
Yeah, no leaves down low. They're all eaten off. Both branches there. You know? Rubs on all of these trees here. Heavy crossings coming in here. And here you got stinging nettles, and you got
Orange Julius.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, look at this branch here. All the leaves are missing. This one's nipped off. Little food plot. Look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even eaten back pretty far. Usually they just take the tips, you know. And you come along in here. Here's where that trail picks back up again. And yeah, look at all these leaves again. All the lower leaves are eaten off. So there's obviously some activity in here.
Yeah.
We should at least get some pictures.
Yeah, quite a bit of browse. Good trails.
Yeah, all the leaves are missing on this one too.
Yeah, down here.
Yeah.
All over the place.
We had some downpours the last few days, but I'm just starting to really now pick up some really good tracks. Like right here, this is a pretty good track. Look at the size of that toe. Look at the length of it. Dew claws going in. And you can even see some big toe imprints on the trail, you know, but most of it's washed out from the rain. That's a pretty good track though.
Yeah, it is.
That might be our boy.
It almost looks like he was coming straight up that timber finger.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking at, is there's a timber finger out here we really want to take a look at.
Yeah, that's a real good track.
This trail here that we just found is really getting pounded right now. I mean, look at the tracks on here. This is getting just beat. And this is getting pretty close to where we want to look here. Yeah, look at that toe. It's a wide toe and really sunk into some pretty hard ground. There's another one up there.
Yep. This is probably where we cut that big track over there. He's probably coming right out of here.
Yep.
Getting better as we're getting in here. Yeah, look how browsed down that is.
Yeah, it's pretty browsed down. All this
I mean,
jewel weed.
Mowed down.
Yeah, look at these big tracks everywhere. There's a cross trail here. Where we want to get that camera might be where this cross trail hits the other one. But I want to see up here, because I think we want to probably hunt further up this way, maybe.
Yep. You see a pretty beat trail, a lot of tracks.
Well, two trails. One trail we were following comes in,
Yeah.
and then this one comes into it.
I mean, this one is really run down here.
It's got a lot of fresh stuff
And
on
this
it.
probably connects with, you know, where we were back there, right?
Yep, and
Right
this
at
is
the trail.
this is that finger we were talking about. Looks like there's an oak tree there, and that might be the only one around.
Is that a white or is that there's a red, huh?
I don't know. Can you see up there to see if it's got acorns? Probably not. It's pretty high up.
Actually, it might be a white.
Hey, look at all these tracks, dude.
Yeah, this is a good setup to do. I like this a lot.
Why don't you set up one of the cameras right here?
Okay.
I think we should cover this crossing right here, because then we'll get an idea of what's in this general area.
What we got another trail coming through here. That looks
Right,
pretty
but everything crosses right where we're standing.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just trying to make sense.
There's another trail over there too. I mean, just everything comes right through here.
Yeah, this looks really good.
Yeah, and we got this oak tree. If it starts dropping, everything should kind of hit here, and then we could kind of hunt back there where we saw the big tracks, hunt around the outskirts if we get something on camera that's worthy.
I think we will here.
Yeah. I think generally right now, just looking at what we already looked at, I'd throw a hunt at this anyways.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I really like this a lot better than up here.
Yeah,
for sure.
What you got going on over there?
I'm looking for buck rub.
Oh, so this camera, what we'll do is we'll leave it here for a season, and it's really going to give us information for years to come on what time frames those deer come into here. So not necessarily a spot to hunt, but it's going to tell me what uses the area when, and when mature bucks are in the area. So years from now, we'll know, like, this is the 2-week time frame that you got to be in this area, because it really repeats year after year after year. So after this year, you don't have a need to even put a camera here, unless you just like hanging up pretty pictures, right? Cameras for me are pretty much just inventory. It's just to see what's out there. It's just to monitor an area and find out what's in the big picture. Cameras don't kill my deer. Scouting does. My scouting will tell me where the bedding areas are, where the setups are. The cameras are just intended to tell me if there's a deer there worthy of shooting. So I don't care if the picture's at 2 in the morning. I don't care if it's at noon. What I care about is that there's a deer there, living there. Now, obviously, it's going to matter if it's midnight and you're on a 5-acre property surrounded by private. But if you're in a large area, that midnight is probably going to tell me he's somewhere in that vicinity, living, and now I can hunt him down. So there's another oak tree. See it?
Yeah.
So the thing is, too, now we've got like 2 or 3 oak trees back here. And really, this whole area has none. I mean, this is really the only high spot around for quite a ways. So if those are dropping acorns, this is going to be a big draw.
Right.
You know, I've never, ever on this entire property ran a trail camera before. This is the first this year.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
So
you should tell us a little more about this piece.
yeah, you know, and it is kind of confusing because we were in here, we hunted down further,
Right.
and we saw deer coming from this direction where we expected them from the other direction.
Yes.
So we're just kind of locking in on what the heck is going on here. And these cameras give you so much information, it's almost like cheating. I would not have a problem with them outlawing these cameras. Because literally, 1 year running that camera, and I'm going to know everything I would have learned in 10 years.
Yeah, you can catch patterns.
Yeah, it's true. Because really the time in what we're seeing is these bedding areas too, a little 2-week period where it's really active. If you hit that 2-week period right, you kill. If you miss it, you blow up the area for the year.
Right.
So the camera's going to do a lot for us in that manner. Okay, so the camera we put out is about 150, 200 yards that way. Probably about 200 yards. And this is the area I think would be the kill area. This is where all the really big buck tracks are right now. And I mean, even right here, there's big tracks right here, all over the place. But there's really heavy trails coming from every direction to right into this area. Look at all these big tracks. Through here, through there, through here, all around. There's a real heavy trail going right between that deadfall, those 2 deadfalls. That way. There's more going this way. Real heavy ones over here, and a couple veering off like that. So we're looking at being able to shoot this, but to get into here without doing too much damage. Seems like all the deer are on that side. We want to be over here, so maybe sticking to this side. But all these trees are these little box elders, buckthorn trees and box elders and stuff that are hard to hunt out of. You know, and that's too big and dead. And we thought about getting into that tree, but I think we have to be more towards this little ridge line here behind you.
Yeah, I mean, we want to try to cross the least amount of deer trail as possible, right? And then we plan on probably an east wind in here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that would keep our access, you know, our
Right.
scent trail would be the same as our wind trail.
Right, and I think up to this ridge we can get in pretty clean. Might even be able to get a second hunt out of it because I don't think too many deer are on either side of it.
Right.
So I don't know. There's a box elder there that is pretty small, but you could get a shot in here or over there. What are your thoughts?
I was taking a look before, Dan, and I kind of like the buckthorn tree back here. This one right here in the middle, and I just thought that there's really nice backdrop behind you. You know, you're pretty covered in here. It's almost like a little canopy, And that the area that we're trying to shoot at is right in here, and it's pretty wide open.
Oh, it is.
I mean, we don't really have to clean anything up. We can clean up what we need to because it's buckthorn. So, but I think if we got rid of this branch, you know, whatever we have to get rid of. But your access now is, I mean, it's right there. I mean, it's 30 yards away.
Yeah.
So on an east wind, you know, we can cross that canal pretty easy, that waterway, and get in here pretty quiet, I think.
Okay, let's mark that spot.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. All right, Eric, point at your tree.
Right here. This is it. I mean, we're only going to be 2 sticks up in this tree, but this gives us pretty well 360-degree shooting, except for straight behind us. It covers all these heavy trails coming right out of the swamp here, coming off of that timber finger. And we also have trails over here that we can shoot at too.
Right.
Just in case something slides up that backside.
And a lot of times in these cases, you get into an area like this, in order to get close enough to kill something big, you have to get into an area where deer could come in from a bad direction, which we know is quite possible. So when we come in here with that in mind, how are you coming in here to this tree? You know, you got a wind blowing this way, but...
Yeah, I'm gonna try to come in straight on with the wind.
Okay, so if the wind's...
So we have one...
So if the wind's blowing that way, point that way.
Yep.
What are you gonna do?
If the wind's blowing that way, I'm gonna come from that way.
What if it's blowing this way? Then you're gonna come in that way.
Yep, straight.
And explain why.
Because I'm trying to make my scent trail and my wind scent the exact same.
So you don't have two different directions that those deer can bust
you
you
from.
from.
Cut those deer off.
Correct. Yep. I like that. So then if the wind's blowing like this, and you come in from this way, and a deer does come from that way, you have plenty of time to shoot it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the other thing too. I mean, you want to keep in mind a little bit too where you cross that trail, because where you cross that trail, you still want to be able to shoot it.
Right.
So if you have to adjust a little bit with the wind, because the wind is going to be temporary, right? It's not going to stay in the ground like ground scent. You got to adjust a little bit just to cross that trail where you can at least get a shot off at your crossing. You know, you can adjust at that time.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can relate to this spot more than some of our other hunting, because a lot of people don't do that spring scouting like us. They'll come in, you know, set up on something they find. Maybe you're on a road trip or something, but you come into an area like this, we don't know exactly where the bedding is.
Right.
We got a good idea. We can look at a map and say, I think it's right here. But that doesn't mean it is. So really you got to take that with a grain of salt, and we might have to adjust. A lot of times you come into these spots and something happens, you see deer further out, you got to move or whatever. But what we're basing on right now is walking through here, you know, knowing a big buck has come through here recently. We find the tracks, find the trails that got the heavy tracks on it. We know we're in areas surrounded by what could be bedding. We set up the best case scenario, and then we get out and let it calm down. And hopefully, you know, 30, 40 days, deer are back in here doing what deer do.
Right. I do think there's a good amount of bedding. I've never looked at it, but you can tell some of those trails coming out of there. What else are they doing in there?
Exactly.
They might be browsing around a little bit, but they're not going to leave trails.
I don't think so. Those trails are leading into water. I think they're leading into beds.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
So we can bet on that alone, that there's going to be some bedding in there.
Yes.
And we have rubs all over the place in here. We have giant tracks. So.
And we got a big buck allegedly coming in here just before first light.
I was just going to mention that. So
several times.
We're in the neck of the woods.
Yep. All right, on to the next spot.
Yep. You got a face full of mosquitoes and you're getting hungry.
Yeah, I ate what I thought was choke cherries. It wasn't choke cherries.
Thought you were a bratwurst man.
I am, kind of. I don't like to be. I like to browse around my yard for food and act all feral and stuff, but I am kind of a bratwurst guy. But I was thinking maybe I could get that thing I thought was a choke cherry taste out of my mouth by eating some jewelweed. Deer like it, right?
Try some of the blood on your forehead, otherwise if that don't work.
Trying to see what deer like in this. It tastes much better than the berry I tried a little bit ago. That actually ain't bad.
Not too bad?
No. Put a little French dressing on that.
I was going to ask you what you were going to try next, if that was just as bad as the berry.
No, definitely better than the berry. Matter of fact, I think it's making my throat unswell.
Oh no. Dan's throat is swelling and we're 2 miles away from the truck. And I don't have cell service.
Hey, maybe deer eat this. Maybe I should eat some of that.
Yeah, try it.
Stinging nettles.
Give it a go.
I think you better cook that first. We had done some hunting in this woods, but really had not focused where this deer was crossing the road. So we had some spots set up in the area. And we're learning as we go, because me and Eric really just started hunting this area recently. And there was one spot where last year, not last spring, but the spring before, scouting in the winter, we found a spot where there's a lot of bedding. And there's some trails that all met kind of in the middle of it. And there was a river up against that bedding. And on the other side of the river was one lone tree along a human trail that you could see into this opening that was surrounded by this bedding, where these deer felt comfortable across this river from the people. And people never really went over there. But you could shoot right across that river and hit all these trails from this tree without ever getting your scent over there. So as we were going up to human access, me and Eric stopped to check that tree out to see if we could see across the river without going over there, if it was being used now. And maybe in early season, feeling that we're probably not doing much damage now.
I like it.
Does it look like there's any deer activity over there?
Yeah, it does. Looks like there's a lot of browse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all kind of knocked down compared to the shit up along the canal there.
It's definitely worse than early season sit. I mean, they'd never even know we were here. They're just traveling that other side.
Right. Yeah, it looks pretty decent.
So we're looking at one of the spots I set up last year, or we set up, me and Eric. And there's a little opening over there that's just pounded with trails that follow this canal back and forth. And you can hit it from this side, and with the right wind, those deer will never have known they've been hunted, so it can be hunted multiple times. And I would think early season this is going to be really good. I mean, if you look at the weed cover out here, how thick everything is, that's the only place, you know, that's one of the few places deer can travel. You know, and there's food right there. You can see all the orange julep, or whatever you call that.
Orange Julius, yeah, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
You probably can't see it from where you are, but just past that stuff on the bank, I mean, it is just mowed down.
I can see them on the shoreline. I can see a lot of tracks, and I can see it pushed down.
Yep.
So I would say that's worth an early season set. They won't even know we were here because they ain't getting over here. That stuff's over your head, that muck.
There's a rub on the tree there.
Yeah. Yeah, there were rubs in there last year when I looked at this. We just never hunted it. We never got over here.
Yeah, looks good.
But now we know there's a good buck in here. It's probably worth a try. Hey, here's some buckthorn. Should we see what that tastes like?
Dan, you're not a grasshopper, okay? There ain't no water over here at all.
What's that?
There's no water over here at all right now.
This area is pretty dry right now anyways. But we're getting out quite a ways. We're trying to access a remote island. This is just a jungle back here. I think it'll keep a lot of people out of here early season.
All those stinging nettles.
Yeah, I'm itching like crazy.
Yeah.
This is all stinging nettles and cattails. Yeah, all this. It really isn't a trail. We're trying to find deer trails, but a lot of this, to go the direction we want to go, there is no trail, so we're just busting cattails, tracking a trail. And that's all stinging nettles.
Yeah, so we're pushing our way out to the island we want to make it to, and Dan and I were just talking a little bit about where these bucks should be bedded, and thought I just heard something crash actually.
I heard something crash from over here earlier.
But as we approach this tree here, Dan did hear something crash, and we looked underneath, and sure enough there's a bed. And that bed is here because they have some shade up above them. It looks like it may have shifted pretty soon because that sun is starting to poke in through there, but it's the only spot out here with shade.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Every one of these trees has probably got a bed under it.
And it's got a little piece of high ground, so yeah, that's why they're bedded there. If you really want to get a feel for how a buck acts and thinks and browses and just lives out his life, Dan, you should try a leaf off that bush. See what he was eating.
Yeah, all this is browse on these purple flowers.
purple flowers.
I bet you that deer's like a rainbow deer.
We need to start thinking about purple flowers.
You know, no manly deer would eat purple flowers. And then it's definitely browsed. I'm saying, you know, rainbow deer.
I've never seen purple rain though.
Prince has.
I've heard of it, but
Bed under here hasn't been used as recent as the other one though. But look at how high the browse is up at our head level. Look at this. You see the deer activity here? All these leaves are eaten. Here's a fresh bud bit off right there just recently. And you see the old big rubs in here and stuff. And this is a real active spot last year. Look at this, Eric.
what do you got?
Look at these branches here and how much browse there is on them, on these willow branches. This should be all willow leaves. See that? And then look at this tree. This tree is just mangled. There's hardly any leaves on here. There's that branch broken off. This tree probably isn't even going to make it. You see that?
Wow. Yeah, they were really on that tree.
There's a lot of deer going through right here. And now, last year when I came through here hunting, this whole area was tore up with rubs this big around, this high off the ground. So I know there's big stuff going through here. It's a matter of timing and when. I got an inkling that it's early season. Just because I noticed last year that we started coming in pre-rut because all the rubs and stuff. The rubs were already here and there was a ton of pressure and then we didn't see anything.
Without a doubt.
So I think we got to get here earlier.
Absolutely. I think right off the bat, even maybe opening weekend.
Yeah.
Because this is already a couple weeks ago.
Oh, this is happening now.
You know.
What's going on here? It's been going on. I mean, this is an old break.
Right.
But this tree has just been mangled every time they go past it. And if you look everywhere, all the leaves on the willow brushes, head high, we saw branches broken off at head high where they pulled them down, got on their hind feet. There's a lot of deer browsing back here.
Yeah, there's some good size back here.
You know, if you look at this area, one thing people don't key in on, we looked at this, the brush that is growing into this marsh on the outskirts is so high and heavy, there's no deer that could get a rack through it.
Yep, you don't see any trails going through it at all.
Of holes back here, like the one we're in, that you have to fight to get to, that these deer are living in.
Yep.
And that's what we're in right now. And I don't think that's going to stay all season.
No.
You know? Nope. I think guys are going to start getting in here in October. And
yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I think early season, I think you're right. That's the time they hit it back here.
Yeah. And that's when I've done my best in most of these swamps around here. Real big, nice bed down in that kind of like little cave. Rubs all around in it. And this little tiny point that comes off of this island. There was a good bed here last year too.
Yeah, that looks like a great spot.
Look at all the browse here, dude.
Oh yeah.
Look at that. It's crazy. This is what it should look like, right? Like that. And this is what it looks like. You get up as high as they can reach and you see some leaves, but a lot of browse. And you get down below where they can reach easy and there's no leaves. This is crazy. And look at how the grass is worn down. So as we get a little further up onto this island, I mean, there's a lot of big rubs and stuff in here. This is a fresh one here from last year. And that is above my waist, where my gut is. There's a pretty heavy trail going through here where all this browse is. Big old rubs everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think we hunted this enough last year. We came up with a setup down here too, I remember, but that
Yeah, this trail is pretty well used. Here's a good cross trail right here. Right here, this is pretty heavy right here.
Look at the buck poop behind you.
Oh yeah, big turds. Taste them. But that trail is pretty pounded, look at that. And this one ain't bad either.
Right. I got it.
Like that.
What happened to you, Dan?
We're just tooling through the grass and there's a bottomless hole full of water. Never did hit bottom, but yeah.
That's why, because you were tooling right through it.
Yeah, apparently that grass there is a water.
You should have seen you. You were up here and all of a sudden you were all the way down here.
Didn't hit bottom. It was pretty deep there.
I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, that was funny. I wish we could have had it on film. In what world do you see a trail ahead of you?
I have no idea where we are.
What are we trying to go through here?
There used to be a trail here like 3 years ago when we came through here. Apparently it's not here no more. But hey, we only got to get a mile ahead and we'll hit an opening.
This looks like a tropical rainforest right here that you're trying to plow through.
This is pretty nasty.
And that pollen, it's starting.
Yeah, every time you shake one, this pollen comes off.
And I'm behind
so shake
Dan.
one over your head.
And the wind is coming right at my face.
Yeah, I got a gust full of it when I got into this. Yeah. It's bad. Well, this stuff has got to be 15 feet high.
Oh, I would say.
Yeah, hopefully there's an end to it somewhere. But this is what I was talking about. Most of the property is this stuff. And deer can't get their antlers through this. So they really, you take this huge property, and this stuff is just kind of grown in everything that's like open. And now you only got some little areas where those deer can be. You know, that's going to start knocking down. There's going to trails are going to get knocked through this stuff and stuff, but they're not there now. And I think early season is really going to limit where these deer are. I think we got to concentrate on this property in early season.
Yeah, I agree. You know what my advice would be to you? Make sure you know where the edge of the ditch is, because you can't see 2 feet in front of you.
Yeah, we were walking earlier and Eric fell right in a hole.
Oh yeah. Whose pants are wet? Yours or mine?
Who's sloshing when they walk? How do you know I didn't just crap my boots?
You may have. You never dumped your boots out, so I was wondering why you didn't dump them out.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think we got to focus a little more energy early season on this property.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think walking it again today gave me a good refresher for the property. I know you've been back here a little more than I have, but
Yeah.
it's good to go back through it.
You got to do these in short bursts, because right now all I'm thinking about is my water, because you wouldn't let me bring water.
You're not thinking about a bratwurst
A little bit.
after that grasshopper
Like water.
food?
I gotta get to the water. It should be nice and warmed up on the car dash.
It'll be warm. It'll be so warm you can't drink it.
Well, let's get out of here.
Yep.